On August 18th, Israeli aircraft struck Syria's Abu al-Duhur airbase, turning an already tense situation into a dangerous new confrontation. Israel linked the strike to concerns over Turkish military activity in Syria, while Turkey condemned the attack and rejected Israel's justification. The two countries already have a complicated relationship, with Syria becoming one of the biggest points of tension between them. But what if this confrontation went one step further? Turkey is a NATO member. Israel is one of America's closest military partners, and both countries operate advanced aircraft, air defense systems, drones, and naval forces. This is what a direct Turkey-Israel conflict could look like. Let's begin with the aircraft Turkey would rely on to control the skies. F-16 Fighting Falcon. The F-16 has been the backbone of Turkey's fighter fleet for decades. Turkey operates one of the largest F-16 fleets outside the United States and has used the aircraft extensively in operations around the region. In a conflict with Israel, Turkish F-16S would form the core of Turkey's fighter force. F-4E 2020 Terminator. Turkey's F-4E 2020 Terminator is an upgraded version of the legendary American F-4 Phantom II. The aircraft is much older than the F-16, but Turkey has kept many of them operational through major modernization programs. It represents one of the oldest combat aircraft still serving in Turkey's Air Force. Air Defense. S-400. Turkey's S-400 is one of the most controversial air defense systems in the world. Turkey purchased the Russian system despite strong objections from the United States. The decision eventually contributed to Turkey being removed from the F-35 program. The S-400 gives Turkey a long-range surface-to-air defense capability and would be one of the most important systems in any discussion about Turkish air defense. Nike Hercules. The MIM-14 Nike Hercules is a much older system. Developed by the United States during the Cold War, it was designed to protect important areas from high-altitude aircraft and missiles. Turkey operated the system for decades before moving toward newer air defense technologies. Its presence today is mainly a reminder of how much Turkish air defense has changed since the Cold War. Drones. Bayraktar TB2. The Bayraktar TB2 turned Turkey into one of the world's most recognized drone powers. Its international reputation grew through its use in conflicts including Libya, Nagorno-Karabakh, and Ukraine. The TB2 is much cheaper than a modern fighter aircraft, making it one of the most important examples of how relatively affordable drones have changed modern warfare. Bayraktar Akinci. The Akinci is a much larger and more capable Turkish drone. It was designed to carry heavier payloads and operate at greater altitude and endurance than the TB2. Together, the TB2 and Akinci represent two different generations of Turkey's rapidly developing unmanned aircraft industry. Navy TCG Yavuz. TCG Yavuz is a Turkish Miko 200 class frigate and has served in the Turkish Navy since the late 1980s. The ship represents an older but important generation of Turkish naval power. With Turkey's large fleet and long experience operating in the Mediterranean, frigates like Yavuz remain part of the country's maritime capability. TCG Kemal Reis. TCG Kemal Reis is another Turkish Miko 200 class frigate, but from a more modern batch. The ship entered Turkish service in the early 2000s and has participated in numerous naval operations and exercises. Today, Turkish frigates provide the Navy with a combination of air defense, anti-ship, and patrol capabilities. Now let's turn to the other side of the battlefield. Israel would enter the conflict with a very different combination of technology, air power, and battlefield experience. Its first major advantage would be in the skies. F-35I Adir. Israel's F-35I Adir is one of the most advanced fighters in the Israeli Air Force. It is based on the American F-35, but includes Israeli modifications and systems. Israel became the first country to use the F-35 in combat, giving the aircraft a unique operational history. In a hypothetical conflict with Turkey, the F-35I would be one of Israel's most important air power assets. F-15I Ra'am. The F-15I Ra'am is Israel's long-range strike fighter. Based on the American F-15E, the Israeli version includes systems designed specifically for Israeli requirements. It has been an important part of Israel's long-range strike capability for decades and complements the smaller, stealthier F-35I. Air defense. Iron Dome. Iron Dome is Israel's most famous air defense system. It was developed to intercept short-range rockets and became widely known after years of combat use. Iron Dome is also only one part of Israel's larger layered air defense network, David's Sling. David's Sling provides another layer of that network. network. It was developed to deal with larger and longer-range threats than those normally handled by Iron Dome. Together, systems such as Iron Dome and David Sling give Israel a multi-layered approach to aerial defense. Drones. IAI Heron. The IAI Heron is one of Israel's most successful unmanned aircraft. It is a long-endurance surveillance drone designed to remain airborne for extended periods while collecting intelligence. The Heron family has been exported to several countries and has been operating for many years. Elbit Hermes. The Hermes family is another major Israeli drone series developed by Elbit Systems. Different Hermes variants have been used for surveillance, reconnaissance, and intelligence missions. These aircraft demonstrate how Israel built a major drone industry long before unmanned systems became a global military trend. Navy. INS Megan. INS Megan is one of Israel's modern Sa'ar 6 class corvettes. The class was developed to strengthen Israel's ability to protect its coastline and important offshore infrastructure. With advanced sensors and modern defensive systems, ships like INS Megan represent the modernization of Israel's relatively small but technologically advanced navy. And then there is NATO. Turkey is a NATO member, but that does not mean a conflict between Turkey and Israel would automatically become a NATO war. Article 5 considers an armed attack against one ally an attack against all, but each member decides what action it considers necessary. That would put NATO in an extremely difficult political position. Then there is the United States. America has a major defense relationship with Israel, while Turkey remains an important NATO ally. Washington would therefore have enormous pressure to prevent a direct confrontation from becoming a much larger regional crisis. So, who would win? There may not be a simple answer. Turkey would bring a large military, a major fighter fleet, a powerful drone industry, and one of the largest navies in the region. Israel would bring advanced fighter aircraft, layered air defense, highly developed drone technology, and a technologically advanced navy. But the biggest factor could be what happens outside the battlefield. NATO pressure, American diplomacy, and the economic cost of a prolonged conflict could push both sides toward a ceasefire. Because a Turkey-Israel war would not just be a fight between two militaries, it could become a crisis involving NATO, the United States, Syria, and the entire Eastern Mediterranean. And that is what makes this hypothetical conflict so dangerous.